Hey y'all, welcome back to Twin Oaks Farm Poultry. You know we always appreciate you checking in with us, and today is no exception. We're on day 5 of raising our flock of Cornish rock cross meat chickens. We raise them out to 42 days old, and then we'll take them down the road to a USDA inspected processor and have them processed into wholesome and delicious poultry. We bring that back here, and we do enjoy it ourselves, but we also market it directly in our area to consumers. And we want to spread the message that the best way to get really great food, one of two options, is raise it and produce it yourself because you can do it, or connect to local farmers in your area where you live and source as much of your protein and produce locally as you possibly can. It doesn't have to be shipped around the country or around the world. I saw a thing the other day where pears, like raised in the United States, or not in the United States, in Central America, pears raised in Central America were actually shipped to Thailand to be packed and then shipped back to the United States to be sold. So we can just totally bypass that whole entire shipping food around the world and buying food that's actually old and that's ultra processed if we kind of change our mindset to either take on a new challenge, see what we can produce or raise, or just connect with farmers in your area, even if you have to go out away from right where you live, like if you're in a city area and you need to go out into a rural area a little bit to connect with people. But start networking, make those connections. Great food sources are out there. But we are talking about chickens that are being farm raised, homegrown right now, and you get to take a look at them. And in this video, we're also going to, of course, we're going to update you on the progress that we have on day 5, but we are also going to talk about a few tips about actually your feeding and your water system with meat chickens. And we're also going to talk about, we've got the barn door open. Y'all probably saw behind me a couple of the barn doors open actually, and we still have a little bit of a predator barrier to help us prevent predators coming on the ground. But we're going to talk about lighting, and it's just the highlight of its role in our feeding program and the birds' activity level. And there's another tip I want to give. Hopefully it'll come to me. If you hang around to the end of the video, you'll probably get it, but I'm drawing a blank on it right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at the flock and give you the background, what the conditions are today. So this is day 5. You are actually looking at, and it's hard to see on camera, it's not quite the same as being right here, but you're actually looking at 305 little baby chickens, 5-day-old chickens. These are not like egg layer chickens. These are really a hybrid called a Cornish rock cross that really is specifically for producing poultry meat. And the reason for that is because they grow so fast. These birds are really, truly finished, what we call finished, which means they are at a weight and a condition to be ready to process into the meat product that comes from them. So right now they're tiny, but they've gotten much bigger than day 1. Right now they're tiny, but they're gonna get much bigger in a very short time, in 6 weeks. And so the way they do that is, we're feeding them, they consume feed. With their energy, they convert that into meat. And then at the end of production, we take them to a processor. You could choose to process them yourself, but we take them to a processor and have them processed into that meat product. So, couple things here. It's actually late afternoon on Sunday. We are actually recording of them on Sunday. We don't upload anything on Sunday, so you'll see this a day after. But it's late in the day, late afternoon, late August, rural Southeast Ohio, USA, and it is about 80 degrees, right over 80 degrees outdoor temperature. So of course, with our barn being more or less open air, it's basically matching that temperature. I gotta try to get this on camera. Okay, so that little chick that's standing there facing us, it was actually falling asleep there. It's probably fixing to take a nap. But anyway, so it's about 80 degrees outside, so our barn basically matches that. So inside our brooder, this pen where we start the chicks, anytime you're starting baby chicks, that's brooding them. So this area is called a brooder. We consider them to be in this brooding phase for about 2 weeks. So inside our brooder is basically the same temperature, of course, as the outside air. You can see we have the heat lamps up. Chicks need supplemental heat to some extent, usually, because chicks from day 1 to about day 7 prefer to be 95 degrees. And if they're not 95 degrees, it can impact their ability to grow and thrive. And we see in Cornish rock cross meat chickens that actually it can cause death in them out at week 5, just shortly before the production cycle is done for meat chickens. So we try to keep the temperature well within their liking. So what we have going on here is I have 4 heat lamps I could use. We've turned these 2 off. We actually did that this morning, and then we've left these 2 on, and you can see birds getting under those and utilizing them. But then some of the birds are just spreading out along the perimeter of the brooder. So they have the option. They can be under the heat lamps or not. And if they're comfortable, they know their comfort zone, right? So that's going on with that. The other thing wanted to mention today, feed and water. So what if you walk into your barn and everything's empty? Feeders are empty and waters are basically empty. What do you deal with first? So give yourself a second, think that over. The answer is the water. You deal with the water first. So when we came in this morning, so long break overnight, we checked them late last night, and then we check them this morning, but it's long break overnight. We had filled waters before the long break overnight of being back to check them, and they had drank pretty much all of their water overnight. And so these waters, about 3 of them had water left in them, and they had cleaned up the feed and the feeder trays. So when we first got here to the barn this morning, the very first thing we did was fill the waters, and you see the water is yellow now. And so we've actually used a vitamin and electrolyte supplement, and I'll take a moment here and see if I can grab that and show it to you. So this is what we're using, a vitamin and electrolyte supplement, water soluble powder concentrate, and we just put a teaspoon of that into a gallon of water, which these waters hold a gallon, and let it dissolve and then put it in their form. So that's an electrolyte supplement. We're using the duration of that packet, which will be about 4 days. We just started them on it yesterday. It's just a booster, to help their immune system and their strength. And then we'll actually finish the packet and then just return to regular water. And that's really preference as far as your flock management, if you want to continue to use it or not. Fair warning, it does tend to loosen their stool a little bit. So you're going to see their manure possibly become slightly runny when you use like the electrolytes. So this little birdie here, I want to show y'all something we watch. He's doing well, he or she, that's laying on its side, but we'll be watching that birdie to make sure it doesn't flip over on its back, because it could lose its balance and get over on its back there. And if it gets on its back, it can't breathe. So we would rescue it. But we'll get in there and make sure that one moves here soon too. But they like to rest under those heat lamps like that. So they're pretty active right now. And did want to say about the lighting, we keep a bright light overhead. And the red lamps, the red bulbs that are in our heat lamps, they don't mimic daylight. So they don't make it like daylight, even if we would turn all the lights off. But we don't turn the lights off. And then in the daytime, we try to get some of our big carriage doors open, because that natural sunlight filters in, and that kind of prompts them to be active. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a future video, because it has to do with a gland that the chickens have, that the biology of the chicken actually reacts with sunlight to motivate them to be active. So, also the risers, we're going to have to start putting risers under the feed soon. This was the tip I said, maybe if you hang around to the end, I'll remember it. See how the birdie here is laying down to eat? We don't want that. We want them to stand up to eat. And that's one of the reasons we do put risers underneath the feeders and waters, and we'll continue as they grow taller, because we want the trays of the feeders and waters ideally at the height of our bird's back. So we're going to have to start working at managing that. So we're going to run out of recording time. I'm going to sign off. This is the light where that little birdie was stretched on its side, so it's not stretched on its side anymore, so we know everything's good to go there. Put any questions or comments down there, please. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for interacting with our video, and please subscribe to our channel. God bless y'all. Hey, here's a bonus. See the white feathers coming in on the wingtips? That's part of the milestone of their first 3-4 days. We start to see that.